Hi, I'm Ed.
Hi, I'm Dan.
I'm Ren.
This is Ren.
Welcome to another episode of Unsolicited, the show where we look at old fuck it. You can tell what we do from the our
We'll
intro.
roll the intro.
The song. This is the song. All right. So today we're looking at a column from Dear Abby, right, Dan?
Dear Abby. Yes,
what year? What month? When is this done?
Knocked over a stack from 2000. November 2000.
November of 2000. Good year, that 2000.
Good times. So this is the title of this one, and I just had to stop right on it. Nurse burdened with grief had good reason for bad attitude.
But you haven't read this.
No, I just read the title.
You read the title.
And I stopped. I was like, all right, I'm going to save this one.
Because it's cheating if you read it in advance.
Did not read it in advance because you'd be able to tell, because if I read it well, you'd be like,
true. You'd be like, well,
that
sounds like you didn't.
You could read.
Just waiting to see. So where is this? Okay. Yeah. So nurse burdened with grief had good reason for bad attitude. Dear Abby, I'm a registered nurse employed in a hospital. My daughter passed away in December from breast cancer. I worked up until 2 weeks prior to my daughter's death. During that time, I made no mention to my coworkers about my daughter's grave condition. It was just too sad. 3 weeks before my daughter died, my supervisor called me into her office and told me I had a bad attitude. I admit that I had kept my feelings to myself, and of course my demeanor reflected a sad expression, but my attitude was never bad. I quickly responded to my supervisor in my defense that my daughter was dying and asked her how I was supposed to act. She told me that there were other nurses who had gravely ill children, but they didn't behave the way I did. I replied that she should walk a mile in my shoes. She reiterated that I had a bad attitude. You have a bad attitude. You have a bad attitude. I responded that since she seemed to be such an authority on behavior and dying children, perhaps she could enlighten me on how to act, because I really didn't know. I have since returned to work, and I now have a strong dislike for this person. I see her daily, and she has the nerve to speak to me after that unpleasant encounter. Abby, how do I get past this? She has apologized for her comments, but the damage has already been done. Furious RN in the Northeast.
Yeah, that was like a book.
Yeah. See, this is what happens when you don't.
That's one where, like, maybe in the future you'll get to review the book and the movie of that question.
Right.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the question though. I mean, it's too long, and it's and it's weirdly petty for a grief-stricken person, but.
That's what was making me think like 5, more of a 5, and not like a 6 or 7.
I'm going with it. I'm going with a 7. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going
to go with a 5 because
the title of the question. There's like a separate title of the question.
Right.
The title bugged me because the title itself says the entire question, the problem, and the answer all together. So it's done. I'm not even listening anymore by the time she gets to the actual question. You listen to the wording of that. The
sounds like a low rating, Red. What do you got?
I didn't listen to the rest of the question. I only heard the title.
So you're gonna say like it's like
I'm gonna give it like a 3, 2 or 3 for being
a 3, a 5, and a 7
for someone's like typing ability.
That's a solid 5, solid 5 average.
Let's go where my
Let's hear this answer. Dear Abby, you said?
Yeah, this is Dear Abby.
Cool.
2000, November 2000. It's unfortunate that your behavior was misunderstood, but since your colleagues had no way of knowing what you were going through at the time, your supervisor was only doing her job. Please accept her apology and find it in your heart to forgive her. If you can't, professional counseling to help you rechannel your grief and anger may be in order. Life is too precious to harbor resentments. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's a shitty answer.
Yeah, that's like a
It's like-
fortune cookie answer.
She's like,
Yeah.
your kid died of cancer. Oh, shucky times. Stop
I mean, there
moping about.
There needs to be a little bit more, you know what you should do in here. There needs to be a little bit more guidance, I think.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah.
because she didn't really address kind of like, I mean, this person's obviously unhappy at work if they're like going through something serious trauma. Like, if I'm going through a serious trauma, like I'm talking to the people I work with, right?
Yeah. But
Talking,
I mean,
talking
yeah,
to
she
people.
did it. And you could have been like, well, you know what? Maybe you need to open up a little bit more at work or something.
In general, maybe
in
like.
general. But hey,
if
we're bordering on good advice.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
when the advice is so short,
Sure. Yeah.
like we're forced as
Yeah.
bad advice givers.
And if you're like writing this, you're like, that's all I'm going to give it.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
I
why
expect
even-
a
why
lot
even
more from a
reply?
newspaper columnist advice. Like,
Yeah, me too. I'm giving the answer a 3. I mean, it covers the bases, but it doesn't cover any of the underlying stuff. Yeah,
I'll go with you. I'll say a
forgive her.
3 as well.
Forgive her.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
An 8. Where's this 8 coming from?
I just like controversy. I didn't really hear much of the question. I really
You
didn't
gotta-
answer.
No, you gotta justify this. You gotta justify that 8.
You like the dismissiveness of the question of the response
Yeah, I kind of like the short to the pointness of
to
it.
the pointness. Nothing
yeah,
like
That's what the
it's
first
really
part
bad,
of it was.
but
That's
you're
what the question
wrong.
was missing.
You're wrong, and you need counseling.
over it.
You like that?
Yeah,
Get over it.
Get
Get over
over
it. And,
that's kind of a TikTok feel to it.
yeah, fair enough. All
Early
right,
TikTok. Okay.
justified. All right, who wants to give the worst advice they can think of in this situation?
So it's got to be either you or Ren, since I read the question.
I don't know. This is like a cancel show. You could have guests on here so they can cancel themselves.
Well, just remember the rules. Just
Like I
remember
haven't
the rules.
heard any of the other episodes of these, but you guys.
All right, so
we're
Ed,
totally
why
just
don't you go first then?
You're admitting here that you don't watch our show. Like, seriously, the worst guest ever. Like, I've never fucking seen the show, so you know
Haven't seen
this
your
sucks.
show.
I think you guys can screw yourselves. Whatever, Ren. I'll pop out with the worst advice possible, and the worst advice possible in this situation is no, you shouldn't. You should not forgive this person. You should actively try to get her fired for sexual harassment in your time of grief. You should try to frame her. You should try to frame her again,
that's-
90s sitcom style. Try to frame her for sexual harassment in your time of grief. You know, like
And at the end of it, it just all comes clear or something.
Yeah.
See?
You go in and you're crying and she's consoling you, and then you kind of get up close, and then all of a sudden your breasts are rubbing against one another, and you're like, "Excuse me, this is inappropriate." And you've got a hidden camera, and then you go to HR and you say that she took advantage of me in my time of grief. And you get her fired, and then you try to you have a seance. You try to bring back your dead child so you can tell her that the whole situation has been resolved.
Have some Zimas and laugh about it later.
Oh my God, I miss Zima. I miss Zima. That was a delicious drink.
Oh yeah, it was something special.
It was something else.
That's pretty
All
good.
right.
I like that, Red. Or I like that, Ed.
What do you got, Ren? Is it you? You're going next?
Well, unless you want to go, Ren.
I had something, but I'm
Let's do it. Nope.
No,
Ren, it's yours. Your show.
You want to go?
No, go. You go. Let me think. For a
Okay.
second.
So I was thinking that from now on, every day at work, she should bring up some story about how some other child died in the world to her. And be like, how should this person react? Let's write her a note. Do that just every day. Just every day.
It's incredibly petty. It's kind of a kind of in character though. I like it. That's
This
solid.
is a lot harder than I thought it would be. Because everything I think of like ends in some death or
Yeah.
dismemberment or something. And you can't go there.
Sticking to the rules is very difficult.
I was just thinking, well, because like in TV and video games, if you hit someone hard enough, they'll just be knocked out and then get up later and be fine and not have some kind of long-term injury. Whereas I think in real life that you couldn't really pull it off.
We can't hit people. Can't hit people. Can't murder them. Can't hit them. Can't choke them out.
Maybe accidentally roofie them?
Nope, that's drugging. You can't. I just said you can't drug them.
But that's 90s accidentally.
Could you seduce someone in their life? Is that legal?
Yeah, of course you can
Someone
seduce.
close to them?
You can frame people and seduce them.
Yes, I guess
I'm not doing bodily harm to anybody. It's not about legality. You can do illegal things. You just can't do bodily harm to
90s.
people. Emotional damage is totally on point. Like you can go into 80s comedy. You can go Revenge of the Nerds without the rape, of course, because it's bodily damage.
Right, yeah. That's the difference between the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I guess if it's
Way
90s. Yeah, the
less,
80s.
80s and 90s advice.
way less rape in 90s comedies than 80s comedies.
Yeah, see, it seems so conventional. And then you just tell them to seduce the husband of the boss, and then
Ooh, good.
and then have kind of a, I don't know, some kind of secret back and forth, or like parade it in front of her at some like function coming up,
Seduce.
Like,
Oh
seduce
yeah, seduce emperor. Yeah.
and then be there with the husband somehow, like at some
Classic.
function where they're together at, so they have to like see it and then fight like.
Seduce and parade. Classic.
Nice.
Classic.
Nice.
I love it. All right. Well, now we've got to decide whose advice is the worst. And
I'm gonna say my advice was the worst.
Every episode has a winner. Your advice is the worst?
Yes.
I think yours. What was your advice again? It was
Mine was
forgettable.
every day she would bring up a story of how some other child died in the world and be like, how should this person?
No, that's
react?
I can't believe you're trying to claim a win for that.
Yeah, that's pretty light. That's pretty.
Yeah,
soft.
that is. My advice was way stronger, and Red's advice. Both you've got to here since you think you won and you obviously didn't. Now you have to vote between my advice and Ren's advice to pick the true winner, because we both agree that yours, isn't it?
I mean, I was struggling to stay out of illegal acts. So.
Dan,
Yeah,
who wins? Who wins? Mine is the I forget what my advice was. All I can remember is the seance now. At the end of my advice was a seance where I tried to bring back her daughter.
Yeah,
What was the beginning?
Yeah.
What was it? Anybody remember what my advice is? Jeez,
Nope.
that's terrible.
I was pretty much thinking.
So it's got to go to Ren then.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
How can you poo-poo on mine? You can't even remember what your advice
We don't have
is.
I know exactly
what mine was.
I just know that yours sucked. Yours sucked, and I remember thinking mine was. I think mine. I remember thinking that it was particularly good, even though I don't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure it was better than yours. That's how bad yours was.
You
All
want to
right,
do
Ren,
another one?
fine. Ren, you win. Ren, you win. Ren wins this episode, despite the fact that he has never seen the show. The
I
first
won on my
experience with
first
the show.
day of cancel me the show.
We are not going to cancel the show. It is far too good.
Like they would get canceled.
No, me.
You would get canceled.
Oh, you would get canceled off the show.
Canceled, you know.
Oh, like cancel culture, cancel.
Yeah.
Like canceled.
What do you guys think about cancel culture anyway? What do you guys think about that?
Obviously, we don't care, Ed.
Yeah.
We're telling people. We're pulling up old stuff. All right, Ed, close us out. I got another one.
You want me to close this out, and we're gonna stop and go another one. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of Unsolicited. I've been Ed. This has been Dan.
Ed.
Ren.
And we appreciate you. Please let us know your bad advice in the comments. Let us know what you would have offered as bad advice. But again, don't ask us for advice. We don't give advice to people.
And obviously you don't have to even watch our show to be a guest on it.
Yeah, if you wanna join us for an episode,
you better not have watched all the way to the end.
Without actually ever
watching. You're already screwed. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't want
we're not you. If you've gotten to this point, then you're not qualified to be a guest on the show.
Yeah.
Wow, that's meta. Is that what the kids say these days? Is that meta? I don't know if it's meta or not.